Let's give him a big warm welcome. Now, Bondi came into Taronga Zoo through our wildlife hospital from a suspected shark injury when he was about 18 months old. He's now about 12 years of age, and he's about 150 kilos in the peak of his breeding season, and he's the proud father of 2 beautiful puppies. So Bondi here being a fur seal, he's got 2 layers of fur, which gives him that very shaggy look compared to sea lions, which we might be able to see a little bit later in today's presentation. But Lindsay's out here this morning showing you what we call husbandry training. So Bondi here is trained to take part in his day-to-day healthcare all through positive reinforcement. And what that means is that every time Bondi is asked to do a behaviour, whether that's lying down, potentially going to be rolling over, to present any part of his body for a closer inspection, he's then being reinforced with his favourite food items. Now you potentially can hear Lindsay either saying the words good or yes, or using a whistle. Now this is a bridge, and it bridges the gap between the behaviour being asked and actually being done, and the reinforcement coming. So that tells Bondi that he's doing a great job and to keep up the great work, and of course anything for a piece of fish. Now the reason that we do these day-to-day healthcare checks is so that every day we come in, we do a very close inspection. Of course, being able to know our animals really well as well makes it a lot easier. But you can imagine a 150 kilo sea lion, or fur seal in this case here, if they don't want to do something, they simply won't. So all of this training is built on a lot of time and a lot of trust. Now being able to do a close inspection on his eyes, his ears, his flippers, all a really important part of this day-to-day healthcare. I think Bondi has done a great job here this morning. So what do you guys think? Thank you so much, Bondi. Thank you for Lindsay. Now, as I mentioned, Bondi came into Taronga Zoo through our wildlife hospital. These guys here are found right here in Sydney Harbour. But the name being New Zealand, or long-nosed fur seal, does indicate that they are also found on the coastlines of New Zealand. Bondi was found on Bondi Beach, hence his name, and unfortunately was deemed unsuitable for release due to the time that he spent rehabilitating at our wildlife hospital. But nonetheless, he's now a great ambassador for his species, and he's doing very well for himself, as I mentioned, being the proud father of 2 puppies. Now his most recent puppy is Kobe, who's down at our Seal Bay exhibit, hopefully still out in the water having a bit of a splash around until 11:30 this morning. So after the presentation, if you guys have a bit of time and you feel like checking out the beautiful puppy, head down to our Seal Bay exhibit and you'll be able to check him out. Now the next seal that we're going to be meeting this morning is a sea lion, and he's known as a Californian sea lion. Now as the name suggests, these guys are found on the western coast of the United States, and they range from Canada all the way down to Mexico. Now this particular individual relocated to us from a zoo in Holland when he was 2 years old. He's now 9 years of age, and he's weighing at about 200 kilos. So everybody, welcome out Cisco with Keeper Lee. Now Cisco here being a Californian sea lion, these guys are found in zoos and aquariums across the world. They are great ambassadors for their species, and they absolutely love to come out here and learn lots of new skills. Now Cisco's out here this morning to show us the life of a seal. Now what people don't quite understand is that seals will actually spend about 40% of their time on the land, where they'll groom themselves. Every single year, these guys go through a molting season. That happens straight after their breeding season. Being able to discard any of that old fur is really helpful when you have dexterous flippers, like those front flippers that Cisco's doing there. And of course, being in a large breeding colony, particularly for a bull male like Cisco here, it's really important to watch your back at all times in case there is another predator or dominant bull around. These guys here have a very flexible spine, and as you saw with Cisco there, he's got no problems at all being able to watch those surroundings. Now another part of their grooming does take place in the water. Being able to use those front flippers to discard any loose scales or fish spines around their mouth is a really important part of their day-to-day care as well. Now being a sea lion, Cisco has 1 layer of fur, but these guys here actually can trap all that body heat in on a really hot sunny day like today Being able to discard that heat is really important, and they'll use any naked and hairless flipper to do so. Just by sticking it up out of the water allows them to catch a cool sea breeze, and they can cool their entire body down. Now what Cisco is showing us here is a natural behaviour known as porpoising or bowing, and it's a really energy efficient way to travel through the oceans at top speed when chasing prey or evading predators. Now Cisco here, he can travel up to about 40 kilometres an hour, allowing him to catch up to fishing boats and get himself an easy meal. These guys here are very opportunistic feeders and will take any opportunity to get themselves an easy meal where possible, and that does mean potentially ripping apart netting material to get lots of the fish on the inside. Now as you can see, Cisco's very powerful through that upper body and his jaws, and being able to rip apart that netting material is very easy for him. I'm going to stand over here for this one. But unfortunately for an animal like Cisco, as soon as he rips apart that netting material to a certain point, it can become marine debris and he can become entangled in this netting material. Now through the breeding season, a Californian sea lion can easily put on 100, if not 150 kilos on top of his regular body weight, and of course the net doesn't grow with him. Now unfortunately the life for a seal in the wild isn't always easy, and human impact is one of their biggest challenges. But Cisco's done a pretty good job here this morning, so we've got a big bucket of fish here for him. Do you guys think he did a great job? Now you may have noticed just how easily our seals catch the fish that we throw to them, and that's because of their amazing whiskers, so let's get a closer look. Now on the count of 3, I want everyone to yell out whiskers and look at Cisco's nose. 1, 2, 3. Those are beautiful whiskers, Cisco. At the end of each of those whiskers is a tiny sensitive nerve fibre that allows seals to detect their movement in dark or murky water when they can't rely on their eyesight. Now on any given day, Cisco's on a pretty healthy diet of about 10.5 kilos, and that's 2 of those silver buckets filled to the top of his favourites. But Cisco, what happens when that seafood runs out? Sadly, we are overfishing our oceans, and it's getting a lot harder for seals like Cisco to find their next meal. So Cisco's going to join Keeper Reed down by the edge of the pool very shortly. And they're going to have a quick look to see if they can see anything in the water. A very quick look from Cisco. Cisco, was there anything down there? A big no. But is there something that we can do about it? There's a big yes from Cisco. Your choices matter. And the next time you guys are out looking for seafood, look for the MSC blue and white fish sticks that you can see on the water there underneath Cisco. It's a guarantee that the seafood that you're buying comes from a fishery that protects fish stocks, jobs, and the environment. So Cisco, which one was it that I was talking about? Thank you. And you guys can all ensure a very sustainable future for all marine life. And I think that makes Cisco pretty happy. He looks pretty sprightly here this afternoon, don't you guys think? Amazing work. Now the next animal that we're going to be bringing out for you guys to meet here this morning is another sea lion, but known as an Australian sea lion. Now as the name suggests, these guys are native to our coastlines right here in Australia. But they're found on the south coast and southwestern coast of Australia, so you won't find them here in Sydney. But this particular species, unfortunately, is classified as endangered in the wild, with estimations of only about 10,000 individuals left. Now Nala, this individual that we're going to be meeting very shortly, was born right here at Taronga Zoo as part of that breeding program. Now she's 14 years of age, and here she is now. Why don't we give her a big warm welcome? And her time being here at Taronga Zoo, she's actually the proud mum of 2 puppies of her very own as well. That's a very cheeky smile from a cheeky seal here this morning. Now part of caring for our seals does mean teaching them behaviours, and they won't do anything they don't want to do. It all takes a lot of time and a lot of trust, just like we've seen so far. Now some of those behaviours are the cooperative or husbandry behaviours, so asking Nala to take part in her daily health care, whether that's opening up her mouth to make sure that her teeth and tongue look good, or they're going to be more high energy behaviours. And that's what we're going to get Nala to do today as part of a training session. Nala's being taught to jump into the water and to touch her nose on that buoy hanging in the centre of the pool. It is going to have to be lowered ever so slightly for her. But in order to get her into the water this morning, I want all of your help. On the count of 3, I want you all to yell in your loudest voices, jump Nala. Do you reckon you can do that? Yeah? Awesome. Well, Nala's in position. Our boy is in position. I'm going to count you guys down. 1, 2, 3. Well, I thought you guys did a great job, but Nala's only got little ears, so we're going to have to ask her. Nala, was that loud enough for you? She said no. So why don't we try it one more time in your loudest voice as possible, and kids, you can even throw your hands up in the air. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I think she's looking for some fish. Let's see if she can do it. We're going to do it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Amazing jump from Nala. Give yourselves a round of applause and Nala. You guys did a great job, and Nala, of course, did an amazing job as well. A great example of how these guys evade predators in the wild by using a behaviour known as sharking. Now Nala's done a great job. She's going to give us a big wave goodbye. Thank you so much, Nala. Now as they make their way off the stage, I'll talk a little bit about her colouring. Now the female Australian sea lion will keep what we know as counter shading their entire lives. Nala's got that beautiful cream belly with the silver top on her back, and it allows her to camouflage from predators below her and above her, whether or not she blends in with the bright sky or the dark waters below. But the next individual that we're going to be meeting is another one of our Australian sea lions, but it's a male Australian sea lion by the name of Storm. Now Storm's about 6 years of age, and he's currently going through a transitional molt. Now this molt will continue to change until he reaches full maturity at about 9 or 10 years of age. And when he comes out, you'll be able to see just how different he looks to Nala here. Now, as I mentioned, the female Australian sea lion keeps that colouring throughout their entire life, but a male will go from looking like Nala with that beautiful two-tone colouring to being a mottily brown, just like Storm is right now. So then when they reach full maturity, they're completely brown with a beautiful blonde mane on their back. And that indicates to everyone that he is a dominant bull. Now, Storm's going to be joining us out the front here this morning. In order for Storm to have a very positive experience, I would like to remind everybody to stay in their seats at all times, and as Storm makes his way past you, not to reach out and touch him. Now these guys here, Storm's only very new to joining us here at Taronga Zoo, so why don't we give him a big warm welcome for joining us out here this morning. Now this particular noise that you may have been able to hear, potentially not so much up the back, is known as clucking. These guys here have a really unique vocalizing or vocal sound compared to who we heard earlier with our Californian sea lion. And the male will do this certain noise in order to attract a female. Often if he shows interest in a female, he'll do his clucking noise. And if the female's receptive, she'll definitely stick around to hear a little bit more of what he's got to say. Now Keeper Jose is doing what we call husbandry training with Storm as well, and as they make their way around the amphitheatre this morning, you can see a lot of this training is built on the trust that we spoke about. Keeper Jose is every time he asks Storm to partake in a particular behaviour, whether that's to jump up on the stairs to have a look or a closer look at you guys, open up his mouth for a health check, or even do a vocal to demonstrate how these guys sound in the wild, it's all done through that positive reinforcement. Now something that we haven't actually spoken about yet is how easily these guys can move around on the land. Being a sea lion, he's actually known as an ear seal. And as Storm makes his way past you guys, you may even be able to see on the side of his head 2 tiny little ear spots. Being an ear seal, these guys are very powerful through those front flippers and can actually use all 4 flippers to walk on the land with a lot of ease. These guys here can actually outrun people up to about 30 metres. So we do highly recommend that out in the wild, if you ever see one, not to get up as close as we are here today. These guys, particularly a dominant bull Australian sea lion, is very territorial, and they often mark one particular beach with lots of herons of women in that particular environment. And of course, these guys here, when they reach full maturity, will get upwards of 300 kilos. Storm right now is weighing at about 100 kilos, so he's going to triple his size in the next coming years, and he'll still be able to outrun us on land. Now, as we guys can see, he's got his beautiful speckly coat on his belly side and that brown or grey coat on the top of him. Now, I do want to just remind everybody, if you want to make it a positive experience for him, to stay in your seats the entire time as he makes his way around. Now, as Storm comes down the last of the stairs here, I do just want to remind everybody about a really important message to take home today. The Australian sea lion, unfortunately, being an endangered species, is suffering from fishing or overfishing. Being able to support sustainable fisheries by choosing that MSC blue and white fish stick is going to make Storm's future for all of his wild cousins much brighter and much happier. So everybody, that's Storm and Keeper Jose. Thank you so much, guys. Now, we really do appreciate you all joining us out here today, but stay right where you are because our seals and trainers are going to come out for one final farewell. Just remember the next time you guys are out looking for seafood to look for the MSC blue and white fish stick. You guys can all be champions for the wild. We hope you have a great day here at Taronga Zoo. It is a beautiful day, and see you next time. Bye.